Welcome to The Bold Book of the Day with Dr. Denise Nicholson, a show that is a central hub and safe space for authors to share their stories. The Bold Book with Dr. Denise begins now.
Hello, my name is Dr. Denise Nicholson, and this podcast is for anyone looking for inspiration. Today, I have the pleasure of interviewing Madelyn Simon. She is a wonderful author, and she created some powerful stories which will spark some great conversations and inspire you. So please welcome Madelyn Simon.
Hello, nice to meet you all.
Thank you for coming, Madelyn. I know your book is beautifully written. It brings heart, creativity, and life to the reader. Give some nice life lessons. So we are going to dive right in and just ask the brave old question of why your story was so important that you had to write about it.
Oh, that's a wonderful question. I think that when children show a reluctance, for example, my last book was about a child being fearful. What happened was I was at a friend's house and a granddaughter was playing the piano like Bach. And this younger granddaughter, I said, "Do you play as well? Do you play piano?" She said, "Oh, no, I wouldn't be as good as my sister." And I said, "Well, have you tried?" She said, "Oh, no." And that inspired the book. I think that if we don't try things, we don't understand what our passions are, we don't get an opportunity to experience a lot of different things. And you never know what you're going to be great at if you don't try. And that's true for children and adults. So many adults say, "Oh, no, I can't draw." But did they try? It's ridiculous. But everyone clearly gets better with time, with practice. So that's really what inspired this book.
Well, at least try, at least start and give yourself an opportunity to see if it's something you even want to stick to.
Exactly. And you just always get a little better, but you don't know that until you begin.
Confidence is such a central theme in your book. Why did you
Yes,
choose to focus on confidence, and how can parents support their children in developing this confidence side of them that will help them to be, the adults that they want, the dreams or the careers that they dream of? The confidence has got to be the foundation of it all.
I agree.
How can parents support their children in developing confidence?
I think that children are vulnerable. They don't know what they're good at. I think a parent has to applaud loudly and inspire confidence. I think that if your parent applauds and loves what you do, I don't mean that they should lie. I think that they should be intuitive to see what the talents are and express that. And I think that when parents see elements of talent or elements of trying, and they applaud that and inspire that to continue, that brings confidence. We all need confidence to do everything. Confidence is such a crucial thing.
Yes.
And they say fake it until you make it. I think that confidence only grows by trying things.
You know, I I really like the phrase, the statement that you just made, that parents should applaud loudly. And maybe it's
Yes,
not a parent, but maybe it's a teacher or
yes, a friend.
someone that is around the friend that's around the child. Because my confidence in publishing began when I was in the third grade.
I love it.
Yeah. I had a teacher that applaud loudly, so to speak, because she encouraged me. And when I wrote an essay and she submitted it to the national children's newspaper, and they kept publishing my work and paying me
I
for
love
it.
it. That's
So,
great.
and then she brought me to different classrooms and say, "Hey, this is what Denise wrote. Look at what she did." That was, in your terms, applauding loudly, and I believe my confidence grew because someone made me feel important and seen.
Exactly. I had an experience, maybe it was third grade. We were
Mm-hmm.
painting on wooden easels in the back of the room. And I painted like a pink horse and a red tree. And everyone was making fun of me. Even the teacher was making fun of me. Oh, there's no red horse, there's no pink. And okay, the class began and everybody took their seats. And then some point thereafter, the principal walked in and took a seat in the back. And when the teacher had a natural stopping place, he said, "Can I ask who did that painting?" And I was like, "Oh, do I have to admit it?" Oh, yeah. And so he said, "I love that painting. Would you allow me to hang that painting in my office?" And the teacher went, "Oh, I love the painting." She bullshit. The teacher said, "I love the painting." All the kids were oohing and eyeing. It was such a crap. But I learned something very important that day, that it's really getting approval is a tricky thing. Sometimes you go on a limb and experiment, and unless you get that applause, you don't really know it's good. So we're always waiting for that applause, but it's not. I think we have to trust ourselves that if we're doing something creative, that it's not always going to be applauded in that minute. Sometimes it's later. But I learned so much that day. It was just interesting.
And that is teaching also that you can be the first one to stand up for someone. And I don't think the principal knew that they had said negative things about it, but I think he truly liked that painting. And
I
because
agree.
he said something, then the teacher herself, she had to look back at herself and say, I wasn't even being nice, because she wasn't being encouraging. All she had to
Exactly.
say was nice painting. She didn't have to
Or
say
she could have
anything more.
said, unusual, an unusual painting.
Yes,
Something,
yes,
that
yes,
you were creative. Um, you know,
yes.
so that was an interesting learning experience. And I've been painting ever since. I like painting.
Mm,
It's a hobby. I'm not a famous
yes.
painter, but it's a joyful hobby.
Susie and Sloppy's sibling rivalry in your book, they are so relatable. And you painted them, or painted their character in such a way that it encourages others to think about their talents. How did you use their story to teach children the importance of discovering their own talents?
So the community is set in a tropical jungle that we call the Mungo Bungo jungle. And
Mm-hmm.
all the animals are a community. They're all supportive of each other. And whatever things they get into, they're all about helping each other. So the Mungo Bungo jungle community is extremely supportive. And there's different there's toucans, there's her best friend, Poppy's best friend is an elephant. The elephant has a son named Felix. Then there's lizards, then there's howler monkeys, there's butterflies, there's so many different things. In this book, it's hysterical because there's turtles and frogs that are dancing. So the community, I think that if you're in a warm community, you have that support. People have your back. And that's what you need in a warm community. You need people to be open and supportive of your trials and tribulations. Then it doesn't feel so awkward. You don't feel alone. You can't fail when you have
Yeah.
friends to lean on. It's a terrific thing. So each story is about the community and the
Yeah.
community embracing each other, embracing newness.
I noticed that you combine storytelling with science in this really creative way. Can you tell us about your connection to the monarch butterflies and how they made their way into this book?
So I love nature and I love landscaping. To me, landscaping is a mixture of science and art. You can't have one without the other. But monarchs have a special place in my heart because birds have planted, what's it called? Oh, wait, milkweed. They planted milkweed like weeds, and monarchs require milkweed to reproduce on. So monarchs are red and black. They're beautiful. They they live for a couple of weeks, except the last generation flies 3,000 miles to Mexico, and they have to feed on milkweed, and then they reproduce. There's a special place in Mexico. There's like billions of them, and that's where they go every year. It's fascinating. So they taste with their feet. This is an interesting fun fact. They pollinate the flowers, but they also pollinate fruits that we eat. And pollination is crucial to our well-being. You know, whether it's bees or butterflies, they do a lot of work. So butterflies, I think, are beautiful and fascinating to watch, and they're interesting. They're such interesting bugs. So I don't know if anybody is near Manhattan, but there's a butterfly vivarium at the Museum of Natural History. And for 9 years, I was the designer, and my company maintained the vivarium. And it was a tremendous amount of fun. So people walk in the vivarium, and the butterflies land on you. It's very gentle. It's very peaceful. There's magnifying glasses above their glass, not glasses, above their fruit, like they have pieces of fruit that the butterflies feed on. And it's fascinating. They flutter this way and that. They don't live for very long. They're just charming and stunning. So that was my client for 9 years. But the Butterfly Vivarium was the most popular, most successful exhibit that the Museum of Natural History ever had. So they really made it a temporary exhibit into a permanent exhibit because they made a lot of money. And great, why not have it all year? It's fabulous.
Your background, you just mentioned, your background is fascinating, from plant care to painting, and now you're an author. Now you're writing. Wow. How
Well,
have you incorporated all of that into your book?
so I went to school for interior design, and I was an interior design. I was one of the interior designers for Newark Airport for 4 years. And I started to design with plants because horticulture was my overwhelming passion. I remember a friend calling me saying, I have a fabulous party for us to go to. And I said, I can't go. She said, why not? I said, I'm reading a book. I cannot put it down. She said, what book? She expected a spy novel. It was like plants A to Z. I said, I cannot put it down. She said, you're crazy. So horticulture became my overwhelming passion. So I began designing with plants for corporations. And I started out with no money. I didn't need any money to start the business. I literally, the
Mm-hmm.
first installation was with a red wagon and a helper, and it was hysterical. The company grew over the course of 28 years, and I had 100 employees. I had 9 trucks. I mean, it was a very wonderful experience because what you didn't know, you learned. When you wanted to get
Mm-hmm.
bigger, you had to learn what am I going to do to get bigger? I mean, what am I doing now that interrupts that growth? And how do I accommodate that growth? And the company took on lots of divisions. It was a wonderful, exciting period. And it was a wonderful period because you learned. I learned what I didn't know. And there was always something I didn't know. And there's a lot of ways to learn. So it was a tremendous, wonderful experience. So that the landscaping, the writing was, I had a little daughter that I told 3 stories to every single night. She lost her father at a young age. So in the stories,
Mm-hmm.
we had a set amount of characters, but I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
incorporate what was happening in her life so that I could support what was happening in her life within the stories. And it was fun
Mm-hmm.
stories, funny stories, but it related to what she was going through. So I wanted her to have a bigger toolbox to
Yes.
learn to deal with people and things. And the 3 stories a night was something that we both loved. So I forgot about it. She grew older. And during the pandemic, I most of us didn't know what to do. So I started to write
Mm-hmm.
stories.
Wow. And now you share those stories in schools and
Yes.
share your book directly with students. What kind of responses have you been getting when you visit these schools firsthand?
Well, it's a lot of fun because when you read a book with to a bunch of kids, you get reactions. You know what they get turned on to. Sometimes they're laughing out loud. I always have a toucan joke. So they laugh out loud, they ask questions. I mean, really great questions. They're in a group and they support each other. And I think that they're having fun and realizing that they have questions, that they're interested, that it's fascinating for them. And the stories are about whole different things. I mean, the book before, it says, Poppy says, you're okay, it's okay. It was about 2 macaw parrots that have come to their community, and they had quirks. They were different. They repeated what people said. Their monarchs are really smart. They could have the intelligence of a 3-year-old. They
Yeah.
use tools. They marry for life. I mean, they're fascinating birds. So
Yes.
they were quirky, and the community, Poppy and the community, had to wanted to accept them and make them feel comfortable. And they thought that differences are welcome like gifts. They're gifts to the community. And I think that's really interesting. When a children's classroom, if somebody is different or quirky, they they should be accepted, not rejected. Um, and it is a gift. Differences are gifts. We want to accept and learn from everybody.
Yes, differences are gifts. And I really like that you mentioned that because you are pointing out that our differences can be used and leveraged to help each other, right?
Yes, yes. And welcomed. We want to welcome everybody.
Yes. Though you know you I remember the Poppy and the Toucan series has received an award.
Six.
Some
Six
awards,
national
right?
awards.
Yes, if I
Yes.
remember correctly. Yeah. Why do you think these stories resonate so deeply with children and parents alike?
Well, there's always a smart message. There's always a message that kids could learn from. And it's always positive. And it's always, you know, look, kids, they don't know a lot of things, but the books are about wisdom. Poppy
Mhm.
is a wise toucan, and she imparts wisdom to her community. And when she doesn't know something, she goes to Margie, her best friend elephant, and asks advice. And Margie is like terrific about advice. Um,
Yes.
but so I love the fact that she's wise, best friend material, but she also welcomes advice
I love
and
it.
and acts on it. So everybody learns together.
Can you take us on the journey or walk us through the process of developing a new book in the Poppy series?
Oh, that's great. It's so fun. I get an idea. I witness something like my friend's granddaughter refusing to try the piano. I
Mm-hmm.
get a, I see something and I realize that it's something is not right. What could there be a story about? How could I tell that story? How can I incorporate that story into the Mungo Bungo jungle?
Yes.
And what I do is I use yellow line paper and I write it longhand and I write it quickly. It's a stream of consciousness. I don't think about it. I'm writing it. To polish it is later, but you get the basic story down, and then
Yeah.
you tweak it and look at it and revise it. But it's I could write a story in the morning. It's not that it's finished, but it's the story is down. So it's a lot of fun. It's very creative, and it's funny. I love these animals, and these animals are very very charming and special.
I hear that that using the yellow line paper encourages creativity for authors. Have you heard that? Because you just mentioned that you use that yellow line paper, and I'm wondering if it's the same reason.
Well, you don't have to fuss. You pick up a piece of paper and a pencil and you just get it down as quickly as possible. If you do it on the computer, it's like it's set in stone, and it's to me it's more difficult.
Wow.
I mean, eventually it goes on the computer and then you can take lines and move them around. And I keep track of my words
Mm-hmm.
because children's stories can't be too long. Otherwise, kids get bored.
What age group are you writing for?
3 to 8.
3 to 8. How many words would you say is in total for this book?
I'd say it's 550.
Oh,
And
good.
yeah, you don't want to do more.
Yeah,
And there has to be 34 pages in children's picture
at
books.
least. Yeah.
That's the number of pages. I mean, maybe somebody does more or less, but my understanding is 34 pages is
34, because you can't publish anything less than 34.
exactly. And
Hmm.
a picture book needs to have room for the illustrations to tell the story. The illustrations do tell the story. It
Uh-huh.
helps. It helps tell the story. You don't want to say what you can show.
And I've heard a picture can tell 1,000 words.
Exactly. Exactly.
So say less and let the picture do the talking.
And the pictures doing the talking, children want that. They want to see pictures. They want to see the animals. It's, adults could picture things in their mind, but kids really
Mhm.
can't. They need to see the pictures.
What advice would you give to an aspiring children's author who want to tell meaningful stories that is, that are both entertaining and educating?
I think that when they are with children, they should be sensitive to listen and look to see what the issues are.
Yeah.
Because each kid is going to have different issues. But I think that we have to be sensitive to what we see and what, as adults, what wisdoms
Yes.
could benefit them.
Yeah, and we all, I mean, children's authors, you want to tell a story, but you have to look at not just this what you want to say, but what is relevant in this time. What do children need to hear in
Oh,
this
yes,
era?
you bet. I
Yeah,
mean, there's this is a tough era. I mean, there's so much, to me, there's so much negativity that is no point. There's no point in having this negativity. This is a hard
so we
time.
need to pour in positivity. This is a time when children need to be
Exactly.
encouraged and in,
Exactly.
and inspired and motivated
And
despite
open.
their age, and
And open.
open.
I
Yes,
mean, the whole thing is
yes.
that there's no point in closing down. You want to open up. And look, I am privileged to live in New York
Yeah.
where there's everybody. They speak different accents and different languages. And I just love that. I love that it's, it's a melting pot, which is really wonderful. And I think it's inspiring to have so many different kinds of people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have another question. What's next for you, or what's next for the series Poppy and Friends?
I have a new book that I wrote,
Uh-huh.
but it is not illustrated yet because my illustrator is moving to Copenhagen for a year. so,
Okay.
so,
So we
so,
have something special to look out for.
well, he might work from Copenhagen. We'll see. But it's a book about, I don't like to use that word hate, but it's like say no to hate. It's say no to negativity. Say no. There's different flock of birds that fly in, and they like to eat the same food that toucans do. So everybody gets nervous. Well, are they going to take my food? Is there going to be some food left for me? And
Mm.
it turns out that they embrace them. They embrace them as friends and welcome them. And it's like in the beginning, it's kind of tribal, like the toucans are different than these new birds. But in the end, they all
Mhm.
melt and they support each other. They melt together. And it's a wonderful thing for the world. I mean, there's, everybody is like frightened of everyone else. I hate that. So it's a wonderful thing, a story for children to welcome differences and welcome different kinds of people and not be shy about different kinds of people.
Really needed
You
in
bet.
this season.
You bet.
Mm,
So the last line is they say no to hate, say no to anger, say
yeah.
no to, and then in the last line, one of the little toucans ask, can I say I hate the weather?
So it's still lighthearted and funny.
Exactly. It's
Way
really,
to,
the last line makes you crack up laughing,
yes,
which is
as
what
it
you
should.
want.
We
You want the
need
stories to
that
be light. You want the stories to have the message, but they have to be fun and funny and light.
because it's a children's book.
And you know what? It's easier, it's 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 palatable when things are funny. We don't have to be so serious and heavy-handed. It's joyful to laugh.
Where can we get this book?
Amazon. Amazon has 7 books, and they're each unique. I mean, they're each different. The first story was Poppy and the Gold Ring. She
Yes.
looked in the mirror one day and she said, "Oh no, I look like every single other Poppy, every other toucan. How could I be different? How could I get set apart?" So, through a series of events, she finds a gold ring, and she thought that her friends were going to like her better because she had a gold ring. And she realized that impressing people with the gold ring was not doing it. She realized that what was doing it is dancing in the sunshine together with her friends. And you don't have to impress people with stupid gold rings. And that was what the book is about. That it doesn't matter if you look the same, it's just in your heart.
Thank you for sharing, and thank you for thinking about the future of our children and the future of our world
Sure.
by combining these lessons in a lighthearted, fun way. So, parents, if you're listening, or if you have a family that you love and would like to teach them some lessons about what's going on in our world today, how we can teach these lessons in a fun and inspiring and lighthearted way, go ahead and pick up the book. It's on Amazon. Please tell them the name of the book again.
Poppy, Sweet Sibling Story.
Okay.
And this one, I think they'll love too. Poppy says, "It's okay, you're okay. But look at the drawings. They're so beautiful." Here, here's the back. They're beautiful.
Gorgeous, gorgeous. The illustrator did a great job.
The illustrator is amazing. The illustrator is
Mhm.
fabulous. And a lot of the pages
Yeah.
are funny. You
Can you hold
laugh.
it up again so I can describe it to our listeners? Because some people will be seeing this on YouTube, but some people will just be listening from our podcast and our radio station. So it's vibrant and green, Poppy sweet sibling story,
Oh,
and
this
it's got
line across is not correct.
colorful.
The line is not across because it's a published copy. I have
Mm,
others. So forget that line.
yeah, but it's just rich and beautiful. The colors are vibrant and just what we need for this time. Oh, I love
Exactly.
this toucan. Oh my God, it's so
Is that
gorgeous.
beautiful?
Thank you.
And
Beautiful.
notice there's a little ladybug. It's like when you look at the
Mm.
pages, you
The
laugh.
details just
The
intricate. It's
details, thank
gorgeous.
you. The
Yeah.
details. And
Yes. Yeah.
it's inspirational and charming. The
Hmm.
kids laugh. They love it.
But
So
Moss, it's so
the back.
gorgeous and funny and vibrant and full of love and
Exactly.
energy. I can see it. Yeah.
And
Written with love.
the message is to include people and not be
Hmm.
scared of different. A kid in a class might be a little different, and they might be scared that they're going to be made fun of. But instead, you want to welcome that. You want to welcome differences. That's what this story is about.
Absolutely. Yes. Now, there are 3 questions
Sure.
that I like to ask my guests before they go.
Okay.
And so I'll start with this one. What's one bold promise that you can share with the audience?
I want to be more sensitive and more
Mhm.
open to what I hear
Mm,
because there's so much sound, there's so
mm,
much noise. And sometimes it's hard to be perceptive about
yeah,
the details of what you're hearing because there's it goes on to something else. So I think that being more open and perceptive would be a wonderful thing to be.
be more open and perceptive. I like that
Yes.
one. And the second question that I'd like to ask is, what's a bold statement that you can share with the audience that will cause a paradigm shift?
Um, I think that when you find a challenging problem and you can study that problem and figure out how you can benefit others by tackling that problem. I think that, helping others is a lovely thing to do. Um,
Yes.
and I think I'd like to be more helpful to others.
I'm sure you already are, but we can always be more helpful, right?
Sure.
What's a bold move that you would like to make in the future?
Well, I'd like to dance more.
Well, come on down. We are
You
going to
bet.
have an authors link up in New York City sometime in the fall, and
Love
I'm
to
going to
come.
make sure that we have music so that you can come and dance some more.
Absolutely. Email me when and where.
I
I'm happy to
will.
come.
I will. Bring your book, bring
You
your
bet.
dancing pants, and
You
shake
bet.
those legs.
You bet.
Can you tell us or give us just read a little excerpt from your book, because I see you have the series, one of the books there with you.
Absolutely. Let me figure out.
Yes,
Page.
guys, the color. This book it's going to make a wonderful addition to your children's library.
Susie was a toucan that was frightened to dance and sing. And Susie whispered, I wouldn't be as good as Blue Sloppyfoot, which was, by the way, her brother. Poppy asked Susie, have you ever tried? She sadly shook her huge beak from side to side. Poppy was shocked and asked, how do you know what you're good at if you haven't even tried? Susie dipped her gigantic beak down and stepped back from the branch quietly. Poppy couldn't let this go, like a robin with a worm. Sweetly, Poppy said, honey, you can't quit and fail before trying something. Who cares if he is better at this moment in time? What if you discover you love performing? Remember our team, the Can-Cans? They weren't always the Can-Cans. They started out as the Cannots because they were so bad at first. Practice almost always makes everyone better. Our name is Toucan, not Too Cannot, Poppy said with a laugh.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And I love the message. Guys, if you're listening and you're hearing that, which one of the series was that?
That's the last
That
one.
was
Poppy's
that was
sweet
Madeline
sibling
reading from
story.
Poppy's Sweet Sibling Story. That was Madeline reading just a small excerpt, but I can hear the messages and the positive lessons in there already. And so, guys, it's not just for your children. There are lessons in there for you too.
Exactly.
Yeah. You said practice almost always make you better. So that's one for adults. Work on yourself.
You bet.
Your perfection is an illusion, but practice does make you better.
And you probably will really enjoy it. And I
Yeah.
think that for us to have more things to enjoy is makes our life full.
Yeah. So, Madeline, tell them one more time where they can pick up your book and the name of the book, because I've said it, but I want them to really hear it so that they can go out and support you fully.
Amazon sells
Mm-hmm.
all 7 books, and
Mm-hmm.
it's titled Poppy the Toucan series. The 7th book is Poppy's Sweet Sibling Story. And I think that everyone will get a kick out of it. I think it's a wonderful book. I think it's a charming book that everyone could benefit from.
Madeline, it's a book that will help children to gain more confidence. And so I believe it's a very important book. Everyone should have a copy for themselves or for the young ones in their family.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate it. I so appreciate your inviting me on the show. I really had totally enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you for sharing your passion for storytelling, nature, and helping children grow in confidence. It is both inspiring and heartwarming.
Thank you so much.
Listeners, Poppy Sweet's sibling story it's out already.
Yes.
You can get it on Amazon, and it's
Amazon.
perfect addition to a child's library. And you can learn more about Madeline when you read the stories and visit. What's your website?
MadelynSimon.com.
Visit that website to learn more about Madeline. Okay. As always, thank you for tuning in. And if you are interested in writing a book, or anyone out there interested in writing a book and publishing it, please send me an email author dnicholson@gmail.com, or you may go to my website, Bold Publishings with a S at the end.com, and be sure to fill out that form and tell me more about what you'd like to do. And I can help you get your book idea out of your head and onto paper so that you can become a published best-selling author. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us for the Bold Book of the Day with Dr. Denise Nicholson, a central hub and a safe space for authors to share their stories. Follow Dr. Denise on Facebook and Instagram at Denise Nicholson, or go to denisenicholson.com. Remember, no one can share your story better than you.